welcome to The Shuffle. This is a podcast presented by Cardboard Cravings, your local YouTube destination for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! Related activities. I am your host, Dorian. Welcome to the podcast. I
Why are
have
you speaking like
I don't
this?
know. I don't know why I'm speaking like this. I'm trying to speak slower because I think I speak fast. Which I do. A lot of my friends and family say I speak quickly. So, um, but yeah, the annotation's a little weird. I have Joe with me. Joe, say hi.
Hello, people. How are you guys doing today?
They can't answer you, but they'll answer in the comments. And then I
I'll
also
answer in the
have special
comments.
guest Siobhan with us. Siobhan, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Siobhan's here as our first and very first special guest. He has a dear place in my heart as being someone that I look up to in the community and look down to in the community.
That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna talk about all things Yu-Gi-Oh! And you also don't have to limit yourself, Siobhan, if you came with any other topics, including music or other interests or
Yeah.
neat things to talk about, like if a tree falls in the woods, doesn't make a sound kind of bullshit. That's totally okay too.
Wait, is that a trick question?
It might be. You don't have to answer it.
Okay.
There's also the occlusion of people wanting to know if we're gonna get the podcast on like Spotify and only sound specific places, and that's currently in the works. I think we need like a few more before it is actually gonna get there, but I'm working on it. It's definitely getting done. So should be soon. But for now, just subscribe to the channel and like the video and let us know what you think in the comments below. But yeah, we can
Yo,
just
I'm
start.
excited to see it on Spotify, or I guess hear it on Spotify.
Dude, I'm
That
so
makes me
excited to have it
sound
on
jit.
Spotify. It'll be like, hey, I'm on a podcast. Oh, where do you, or like you can start talking to someone about podcasts and then be like, oh yeah, I'm on a podcast. It's on Spotify. Go check it out. It'll even have that
That
sick logo.
that actually sounds cool.
Yeah, it'll be sick. I like podcasts for like long-term driving. Siobhan, have you ever been on a podcast before?
Never.
Okay. Do you listen to podcasts at all?
Mm, Never.
Okay,
I think
that's fine.
just the first time I did was the ones that you guys did, but that's it.
Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome, dude. Cool.
Siobhan, I think you need to introduce yourself to the people, like what team you on and what your credentials are in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they certainly outrank mine and Dorian's.
No,
You do
it's
actually. You do.
it, uh, I
And you
guess.
can do
Okay,
it
so
simply.
um, okay, so my credentials, I guess, would be the highest. Starting from the highest would be I have three top 16 YCS tops, uh, six. Well, if I really want to get into the specifics, five top four regional tops, one win, and one top eight. I don't
What
go to
regional did
air.
you win?
I went to the Montreal one. I think I went with you guys. Well, oh wait, no, that was the one that you guys didn't go. I think.
Yeah, it would have been. I don't recall you winning while I was with you.
Right. It was definitely the one that you guys didn't go.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like the regional right before the ban list.
Like recently?
No, this was like Orcus got hit 2 days after the regionals.
Oh, this was the one where the list was already announced.
Yes,
So this
you're
is
right.
recently. Like this is like September or
Yes.
October. The one that I couldn't go to because Alyssa was uh
Yeah, I remember now.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Neat.
remember now.
You won that? Why didn't anyone say anything?
Oh, I thought you guys knew and just didn't care.
No, I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
What did you win
That's
with,
pretty.
Orcus?
I played Luna Lights.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I had
Yeah,
no
that was fun.
idea.
That was fun.
Damn, dude, that's sick. Congrats.
Thank you. But yeah,
Uh,
that's basically. I don't go to the PPG events or the ARGs or the OCS when we had it back in the day. But yeah, those are like the only events that I've went to basically.
okay, cool. Most of this is gonna be like a directional interview, but we can kind of give opinions on both of them.
Hmm.
I'm gonna straight shoot with a couple questions just because I'm curious, and you can kind of just like bounce the questions off.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
when did you start playing the game?
This is 2019, so I gotta say mid 2016.
And was that a format that you like when you came in? Like, were you really good?
Oh no, I was definitely poo. So this was I came in right in the so apparently Pepe format lasted just a week or 2 weeks. I can't remember which. I came in like I started playing competitively. Well, if I want to put in, I started going to actual locals right in the middle of Pepe format, right? So before then, a couple of my friends would play, like they would host tournaments inside their home once per week, and they would have like a small little prizing and everything.
Yo, is this a
And
noob engineer?
pardon? No,
Is
no,
this a noob?
no, I didn't know them back then. I didn't
Oh,
know them at
okay.
all. Yeah, so like they don't play competitively anymore, except for actually, you guys do know Will, right, from Team Soren, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he was actually one of my first like friend, I guess, that still exists now, right? Um, and he would be coming in and playing while my friend would host a small tournament inside his apartment. And I came back. Well, not came back. I started playing, and I was under the impression that I didn't know anything about Dex energy or like I didn't have any concept whatsoever. And my greatest experience came from when the first decks came out for Yugi and Pegasus and Joey and all of that. So I would be playing like triple Man Eater Bug and like triple like
Hmm.
Vindictive Magician and all that like trap hole. Like it was crazy cards. It was and I was under the impression that the more cards you had, the better your deck was. So I'd be playing a 60
Yes.
version.
Yes.
I'd be playing
Yeah.
a 60 version card, a 60 card version of like just random cards, but that did something, but had zero synergy whatsoever.
Mm.
Like, and I would get bodied every week, day in and day out. I would get bodied, and because they'll be playing Fluffles and like Blackwings, which were just like was so explosive compared to like whatever I was playing, right?
And how
Sure.
old were you at the time?
Um, I was
2014, so 5 years ago. I don't know how old
yeah.
you are now, so
Oh, I want to say I was like 23,
You're around 20.
22,
Okay.
23, 22. Yeah, something like that. Um, but yeah, then like eventually my friends stopped like wanting to play tournaments, but I was still really like wanting to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So I decided to go to my first locals. And that was in the middle of Pepe format. And the first locals I've ever been to was, of course, 401 Games, because that's the first thing that pops up in Google. So I went, and the first deck that I've ever played on the local scene was Mermils. And my round one opponent he was playing Pepe, and I didn't know what Pepe was. Uh, in some weird way, I was able to beat him, and I felt super confident. I'm like, oh, this is fine, right? Round two
You beat
opponent,
Pepe with Mermail in your first round of locals ever.
yes, yes. I didn't know that was an accomplishment, but yes, that happened. I
That's not
did.
an accomplishment, that's a miracle.
I don't know. Like it was just crazy. I don't know. I was very confused, but I learned my lesson because my next opponent was also playing the same deck, and he destroyed me. Like he was so much younger, and like Pepe was just so oppressive, and I was like, wow, wow. I was mind blown, and that was my first local experience, I guess.
so to just I didn't want to interrupt you during it, but for those who don't know, only because it's relevant, and I restarted before like after Pepe and all that. What does Pepe format mean? Like, what does it stand for?
I think it means Performapal.
Perform
I,
Age.
is that what it means? I'm not
Yep.
fully.
Yeah, it was Performapal and Perform Age.
So
Oh,
like
okay,
that was
okay.
a pendulum format, someone would say?
That was a pendulum deck that was so powerful that in one YCS it took something like of the top 32, I think it took 28 or 30 of the
Yeah,
top 32. and an emergency ban list was given approximately um, it was a couple days later, but it was
Yeah.
maybe 2-3 weeks into the format.
No,
So a
like
lot of people.
it
Sorry, go
was
on, Sean.
crazy. It like I that's exactly what I heard too. Like,
It was January of 2016, I think, and Breakers of Shadow, or as the player base called it, Breakers of the Meta, was released, and it had all of these pendulum cards that in OCG land were um, the archetype, which was Performapal, was terrible for the most part, but
mhm.
somehow all the pendulum support was put together, and a bunch of these Performapal cards turned out to be okay together because a bunch of them said draw card. Um, and so the deck became super broken, and with things like Cyber Dragon Infinity released,
Oh yes.
um, and Solemn Strike was just released, and Guiding Ariadne was released, and that was a pendulum card that, when destroyed, essentially allowed you to search a counter trap. So
Hmm.
if you go back on, I think it's Lithium 2300's channel, or whatever the number is at the end of his URL, but if you go back, there's videos of him kind of premiering that deck right before it came out, and that deck went like plus 10, plus 13 with 3 counter traps, and it was absolutely oppressive. And like 5 cards in hand still. It was ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous.
Hmm.
Hmm. Neat.
Probably the most powerful deck of all time.
I don't think, like, ever since that point, I don't think I've heard of. I don't think we have faced an emergency ban list to the degree where it's like it happened so fast, right?
Hmm.
It came into everyone's possession, and then it was gone, just like that. And the emergency ban list just took it away.
The only emergency ban list I've ever been a part of, I think, was Spiral.
Yes, but that even lasted longer than Pepe, like a bit too long in my opinion.
And which, when I say emergency ban list for Spiral, because my memory fades me, was this the one where they hit the quick fix and the drones, or was there a
Ye
different ban list?
No, no, no. I think you're right.
Okay, yeah, they hit them to one, right?
But
Because
at
Hmm.
the
they couldn't.
time that this emergency ban list happened, there were still dates on the ban list, right?
Oh.
So this deck gets released. It's the best deck. It's taken all the top 32. So all the competitive players in the world have invested into it. And because it was tier 0, the whole deck essentially cost $1,000.
Hmm.
So a whole bunch of people spent $1,000 on a stack of cardboard. And 2 weeks later, against the date that was on the ban list, an emergency ban list was dropped. And if you had invested money in that game and you invested money into that deck, you got absolutely demolished.
Yeah.
Oh, I never took it into that perspective. You're definitely right.
Yeah,
Because
that
at the
sucks.
time, I was away at school, and a lot of my friends in the Montreal community had picked it up, and then it got banned, and they were just absolutely mad, and were all threatening to quit.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
fair. I
And
mean, like,
with that list, if I'm not mistaken, Konami said, because they were trying to save face, they said that OTS stores don't have to use this ban list. It's only fully being utilized in regional scenes, trying to say, like, hey, if you invest in the deck, you're still going to be allowed to use it, and it's up to the store if they want to implement the emergency or not. But regionals and YCSs will be using the emergency list. And obviously, every local store used the ban list, but a lot of my friends got really pissed and threatened to quit, or like said they were going to quit.
Mm.
otherwise, Siobhan, we also didn't get through your details. You are on a team right now, right?
Yes.
Okay. What's your team called?
It's called Game Nation. There's
I haven't heard of them before. They're pretty good.
they're okay.
Dude,
They're
do they
okay,
have a
hey?
store?
They have a store.
Mm-hmm. And where would they
Yeah.
go to use a special code for a store?
uh, they have online marketing place as well. It's Ray and a couple of his close friends that basically take care of everything. And he's a hardworking man who has invested a lot of time and effort into getting where he is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely one of the. I feel like it's definitely one of the central spots for, not the central spot I want to say, but it's definitely one of the couple central spots for local get-togethers for any newcomers or anybody that wants to play competitively.
In Toronto.
Hmm.
Cool. Okay. I want to go in a little bit more detail because I didn't get to talk to you much between the last time you topped and now. But I want to talk about basically just give me like the perspective of someone that like would pay, a couple $100 to get on a plane, go to a different place from where they live without their friends. Well, maybe a few friends, whoever makes the same trip. But I want to know like what goes through your mind when you decide I want to go to another country to play Yu-Gi-Oh.
So, it's all about perspective, and on honesty, like when I first started out traveling, it was emotionally draining on my end, to be honest. Like my friends were there, um, and that was fine. We got to go to different countries, and like this, I'm talking in the beginning, right? My friends were there. We got to eat at different places, and like we got to hang out in a different country, and that was really cool. It was really fun. But at the end of the day, the goal was to play on a very high tier one level scene. And if you, well, for me, when I first started out, if I didn't do well, and it was a very rough start for me, which I think is for on most people, it was very emotionally draining because when you come back, the plane ride back is really depressing. um, because like you committed time and effort, and then if you don't get the result that you wish to get, it doesn't feel so great. But as time went on, I started to realize that I enjoy traveling a lot, um, and like if you it really helped when I changed my perspective, um, because I wanted to travel more and find out, well, see more of the world, I guess. And one of the biggest experience I had was when I went to Central America, and seeing their lifestyle was so, it was just, it felt like I was on a different planet. It felt like we have all of this good stuff around us. And when I was in the middle of there, right, and it just felt like I was on a different planet. And all these people, they were not, you know, people that I normally surround myself with, and it just felt like a different planet. And it was such an eye-opening experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's all about perspective, right? And the game is there, you go to these events. I know you commit time, but like if you make the focus of your investment just solely on the game, um, you will not feel emotionally content by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you change your perspective and focus more towards the outlook of life itself, uh, it helps a lot.
That's fair.
That's actually really good advice because for someone like me who does not have a YCS top and is looking to travel more, I look at events like YCS Las Vegas, which
Mm-hmm.
is a couple $100 investment, more than at least $500 investment, and I'm thinking, is that worth it for the weekend? And so, in your perspective, if you think about it just for Yu-Gi-Oh, to you it's not, but if you actually treat it like a vacation and put Yu-Gi-Oh on top, or
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, then it becomes worth it. Hey,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the perspective. Like I have that perspective that you mentioned that I'm not a big traveler. I have
Mm-hmm.
traveled, but I I invest a lot into this game and a lot of not just necessarily competitively, but just like brand focus and stuff like that. And I don't want to travel to an event with any time not catered towards the event.
Mm-hmm.
So like I try to even when I plan towards to go somewhere, I try to minimize the amount of time I have on the front end and the back end of the trip.
Right.
Which most people that like what you're saying goes against the the whole experience. But I guess that's just more something that I'll have to try like going forward. Vegas is a little different because it's a city that I probably want to explore a little bit and like
Mm-hmm.
it's fun. Um, and Pittsburgh was a little different for Nats, especially because Nats was such a long event with this last year's intro tournament. I don't know what to call it,
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
the
but
top 16.
yeah, the top 16. So the additional world qualifier. um, Essentially, it definitely feels different, and I think that it's nice that it's not just like limited to the nation of the United States. That you can go to places like Peru or I don't know, where else have you been that you've traveled to?
uh, like Central America wise, or
Anywhere, just anywhere that's not like North America.
okay. I actually got super freaky with this and actually made a list.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so I'll start off. Okay, I'm gonna go through this super quickly. So Pittsburgh, Atlanta, New Jersey, Manhattan, Chicago twice, Detroit 3 times. Then I went to Fort Worth twice, Los Angeles over 4 times because my family lives there. San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, Columbus, Guatemala, Brooklyn twice, Quito, which is in Central America, Knoxville, Indianapolis, Portland, Philadelphia, Guadalajara, Panama.
That's a
Nice.
solid list. When you
That's
go to
pretty.
these places, do you make a point of seeing the city, or do you mostly focus on the event?
Okay, so that is a very good question. So, um, if for say I go to Central America um, and if I'm not surrounded by a lot of my friends, I don't go outside and travel like that solely because at the end of the day, it is a third world country, right?
Yeah.
So if my friends like, so I do like it's they still have like Uber and Uber Eats and like the hotel is fine. So it's like you can do everything like inside the hotel and you're fine, and everything there is like super dirt cheap, right? Um, like so in that aspect it's fine. But like if my friends go and they like travel, like they want to like explore the city, then I definitely tag along and stuff. Um, but yeah, it's just on the safer side that I just don't like step outside to like go out of my way to like explore too far off. But that's
Sure. I
only for
mean, you gotta
Central
be a smart
America.
traveler.
Yeah, that's only for Central America, right? America is a completely different story.
Yeah. Is there like
Okay.
a number in your head? Say, if I told you a YCS was X amount of dollars for the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
is there a number in your head that makes it worth it? Besides whether or not you have the money available at the time. But if I said, obviously, if I said the YCS is going to cost you $3,000 for the weekend, you're probably saying no. But if I said it
Oh,
was $5 for the weekend, you're probably saying yes. Is there a
so
number in your head where it becomes worth it for you?
oh, I see, I see. That's a very good question, actually. So I think the London YCS from Canada, the London YCS, I mean in Europe, from
Yeah,
Canada, the
not Ontario. Yeah,
exactly. I miss those regionals, honestly. Anyway, the London YCS from Canada is actually, or I think when I was checking the price, it was like 1,200 or 1,300. And when I looked at the price, I was definitely turned off. And as much as I really wanted to go, like last year, I promised myself that I would make the commitment to go because it's Europe, right? I've never been to Europe, but like
yeah.
I just after looking at the price, I was very turned off, and I said no. I got to be smart about this, right?
Mhm.
Usually, a lot of people I've noticed that they buy their tickets, honestly, kind of last minute, but for me, when I see new postings, oh, there's a YCS or a UDS happening, and they post it, I tend to like decide within a span of a week, okay, I'm going to this, right? And I buy the tickets all at once, and the events come in like 3 months, and the ticket that I bought it at, the price that I bought it was like super cheap compared to like other people where they pay like almost double the price.
Awesome.
Yeah, like I think there's a YCS that's coming up right before the Toronto Regionals upcoming, right? And it's in Sydney, and that the ticket for that, oh, the ticket for that is $2,400. So
Yeah.
yeah, as much as I would love to travel to Sydney, that is not ideal.
Yeah, neither is the 16 or 14-hour flight.
Oh, yes, definitely. Like, it sounds very exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're doing that, you might as well stay for a little longer and go to Japan.
Good point.
Yeah, that's actually a common thing that people do. Apparently,
Wait.
it's
Oh,
like
they just
it's
like
like an hour flight from like Sydney or anywhere in New Zealand to Japan. So they just hop
really?
over. Yeah, they hop over like all the time. So like if you go out there, you do like a 1 to 2 week, and then you just go to the other side because you did the 14 hours. So why not?
Right. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's cool, dude. Have you had any unique travel experiences? That seems like
Um,
a very generic question, but I mean, not specifically while you're traveling. I mean, things like related to the game. Like, have you traveled and met like a friend on a plane or been on the same plane as like someone traveling with you to the same event or something like that?
uh, yeah. I mean, like because everybody kind of knows each other, if not by name or at least by face. Like, I'm pretty sure if I I'm almost 100% sure if I walk around an American scene with you guys, like you guys can be like, oh, I've seen him before. I've seen him before. I've seen like you guys can point out a lot of people, right?
Mhm.
And like, and if that is true, then they have also seen you, right? And
Mhm.
if you guys end up on the same flight, they're at the end of the day we're people, so we just approach each other and we just like, oh, I've seen you around, and then we just start talking, right?
One thing we didn't get into, but I wanted to know, um, the is the difference. I don't have any day twos at YCS, not for obvious reasons, but is the difference in the first day and the second day so much more stressful?
Yes. So, day two, everybody is on edge, and it's a very nerve-wracking situation. That because it's it's not just like as much as stressed you are yourself. I'll give I'll give you an example. Like I remember I was facing this Sky Striker player. And we were in the VIP table, and it was the first match of my day two, and like I became accustomed and more accustomed to like I don't feel those anymore. I don't get jitters or nervous breakdowns or anything anymore. But like when I was facing him, he was shaking,
Hmm.
and I felt so bad, and I wanted to say something or help him in some way. But he was just so like nervous and he was shaking, and I've seen stuff like that throughout. And the new players, they get a lot of jitters. The experienced players, they get really strict and hardcore.
Hmm.
um, so it's a lot of tension in the air basically.
Have you ever
Did you
gone
used to
into a
get
day
the
two
jitters?
with zero, like undefeated?
Pardon?
Have you ever gone into a day two undefeated?
No. I've,
Okay,
I, I've I've never been that fortunate.
okay, yeah.
Did you used to get the jitters?
Yes, I would definitely get a lot of jitters in the beginning.
How many day twos before you noticed you no longer had jitters?
It took a lot of L's.
Yeah,
It
that's
took a
fair.
lot of L's. Honestly, it's the term "what doesn't kill you makes you stronger" is definitely uh, the line to place here, because it doesn't go away after like the first couple times. Um, it takes quite some time. Like one of the greatest thing that was one of my biggest driving force throughout everything was what Jesse told me, because from his experience, what he told me was he had to take so many L's in the beginning of this, like consecutively, and he was just not doing well, and but he just stuck, like he just held on and he didn't give up, and like he pushed forward, and even though no matter how demotivating it was for him, he just kept pushing forward. And I always remembered that, and it would help me move forward in that way too.
Was it the L's that made it easier, or was it getting the W's once or twice that made it easier?
The L's, because you start to get more accepted, like you start to accept it, like that it can happen. Like right now, I always give like the best advice to people if they take a L. The first thing I tell them is like, do you believe you played the best to your capabilities? And if they say yes, then I tell them you should not be upset. You tried your best, and the outcome did not happen in your favor, and that is okay, and happen in your opponent's favor, because it was like it is what it is, right? But if you misplay, then you have a lot to think about, right? Um, that's like the perspective I try to give to everybody.
Do you find that you started giving a lot more advice around like the people that you do play with, or do you find that you're still taking advice?
I love taking advice. I absolutely love taking advice because I notice a lot of people as they get better, they tend to close off other people around them based on their skill difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I never liked the concept of that. I love understanding and taking advice from other people because like I feel like I learn more from others than myself. Um, like even when my opponents say he loses or whatnot, when they show me, oh, this is the cool tech that I was playing, and I'm like, oh my god, I've never thought of that. That's actually really cool. And then I go home, I explore the idea a little bit more, I dig into it further. Um, I even ask my friends I always ask my friends for advice. They get confused as to why I'm asking them for advice. But like they they don't understand like how much I value their opinion.
So something was
That's
on my mind this weekend, and I want to
mm-hmm.
hear your opinion on it. So for our viewers, this weekend was the Toronto Regional,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually personally had my best performance at a regional. I got my invite, but more importantly, going into round 7 of 9, I was X1.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up losing my last 2 rounds, ended up going X3, still got the invite. But
Mm-hmm.
Siobhan, you ended up going, what, X1 or X2 and getting top 8? X1, right?
I got X11.
Oh, X1, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was going through it, I kept thinking to myself, okay, so it's like round 6, for example, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
X1, and I'm going, you know, when I go to locals, if it's a 4 round locals and I finish X1 at a 4 round locals, I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. Like that's a good day for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not every day I go XO at locals, and then I'm sitting at the regional going, holy shit! Like I'm X1 right now, I'm X2 right now, and there's another 4 rounds. Like just statistically, how do you? It looks like I'm gonna lose one. Like how do I stop myself from doing that? How do I get that out of my head? So that was something in my head this weekend, and something that probably hindered me to some extent. Is that something that you think about? Is there some way that you push that out, or do you
Like
kind of just say, "Hey, I'm gonna take an L sometimes, but it's fine. I'm just gonna get on a run and we're good to go."
like uh, I understand how you feel. I completely understand. Um, a lot of people feel opposite of that, strangely enough, and that it's okay to feel that way. Um, well, one thing that I noticed was like I feel like the fear itself um, keeps you on your toes. It definitely does keep you on your toes. I feel like if you ever feel too like I feel like if you feel too comfortable where you're standing, you might end up your brain might just like feel more lax, and you might make certain decisions where you would not. Um, I think the fear that you had, oh, I might take an L soon. Like I get those fears even to this day. Like the moment I go 5-0, I instantly tell myself, okay, I am going to lose the next round, and that's okay because I will win out afterwards. Because I try to look at the positive. I'm like, it'll throw me in a bracket that's lower than EXO, and I will be fine. Like I tell myself that stuff like this, right? Because you always have to look at the bright side moving forward. Um, Remember, it's okay to take a loss. It's just one loss. Uh, it's the mindset that you have moving forward. If you let that loss crush you, you will suffer a lot.
Some wise words there, friend. Thank you kindly.
Yeah, I mean, at least to add to it, I also played at this regional. I unfortunately did not get my invite, even though Joe and I had the same record. Um,
Wait, you
I
were
just
X3 and didn't get the invite?
no. You were one of the highest X3s because you had lost in the later rounds. I
Yeah,
think
Joe
there's a
did
lot of
amazing.
yeah, there's a lot of math going into the whole bracket thing. Um, Understanding like where you place and what your loss means when it means something. Losing earlier versus losing later, and then like what your draws mean for everyone else in your bracket as well. Um,
Apparently, who you beat also matters for your tiebreaker.
Yes, I heard
yeah,
about that. I heard about that. Yeah.
yeah, because it's their who you it's like kind of like MMR in like a lot of online games. It's the thing that defines you on a hidden number ratio that like tells the format maker like how much your tiebreaker means. Because like if there's 100 people and you have the same record as 30 of them, it has to figure out who's getting the edge and who's not based on who you're playing and like when and
Yeah.
like how they've done in certain matchups. Not like the decks at all. It's never like, oh, you beat a mermail deck and that's just the bad deck, so your win doesn't mean as much as the other guy. It's like just like who they've beat and like what their record is going into it. Because like playing an X11 as like an XO or like playing an X1 to the draws and all that stuff, they drastically change everything. I think my biggest problem is exactly the opposite of the situations where I think I take every loss as its own loss, and by the time it comes down to it's too late, I wouldn't say I'm relaxed. Like going back even to the shaky stuff, like I'm super shaky when it comes to playing. Um, I think that's just all the caffeine like in my bloodstream. But um, the actual losing and then just kind of moving on from it, I don't ride on a loss as long as I think most people do because you like even recently a lot of our regionals we've had to start playing like 8 to 9 round regionals. There's just no time to spend on like the one loss or two. And like if
Yes.
you're still in the game, then you're still there. Like you're still playing. And it doesn't matter like even for me, I we figured out that X3s were going to make it. I played every game even though I was X3 by round 5. I played every game after like this is the thing that's going to give me my invite. Like if I don't
Hmm.
play this match like the best way I can, I need this invite. And I didn't I treated it like that, right? So
Hmm.
for Joe, I think in your situation, even as I saw you and we like checked in throughout like playing and stuff like that, it was one of those things where it's obviously after like round 5, round 6, it starts to get tougher because that's how the bracket works. So you can win all the way up to like round 5 and not really have a problem. But like I think round 6 for the memes, as a story, I played against Exodia a stun, and it kind of like revitalized me because as I told everyone, I was like, if this guy is still playing in round 6, he's only X2, which
Hmm.
means he's won at least 4 matches to get to this point. And if he is here memeing his face off and like completely confident in his deck, who also had no idea what I was playing, then like this is fine. This is not as bad as like I think it is. And so sometimes I translate some of those like wins, the wins that you overcome and like how the other person treats the loss. I kind of like absorb that energy because
Yeah.
some people like, they feel really bad, they're crushed, they lose it, but I know that when the guy beats me at like X2, he's not thinking about how I feel. He's feeling the same way. He's like, God, I just need to keep winning because
Hmm.
there's nothing more than like the next game or the next match. And so like
Hey,
I think
Dorian,
that yeah,
did you feel my hands during that regional? Did I make
overheard
you hold my
through.
hand?
I overheard. I don't touch anyone. That's my one of my number one rules. I don't touch anybody. But I did overhear through our manager that your hands were quite cold.
my hands got frozen when I was playing. I guess I was so nervous that my veins just shut down. And
Yeah.
they're like, "Yep, no, thank you." And my hand was absolutely frozen solid.
Yeah.
Alyssa looked at me. She's like, "Were you outside?" I was like, "Nope, I was
Yeah,
just
because
playing
you
my
had your like
round."
coat on and everything too, and I was like stunned.
Yeah, I didn't get the shakes. I just got the shivers, I guess.
Yeah.
It's so in summary, I gotta say, like, I've watched a lot of our own friends like struggle from a loss, and they just they take the loss so heavily that in the next preceding game they've already lost internally, and they just don't think they can do it anymore, and they give up, and they don't have that drive, that force that they originally had starting out from that tournament. And you need it's a believe it or not, at the end of the day, it goes beyond the game, because you you build yourself to have like this level of persistence, this driving force, right, to do a
Yeah, the
certain
fortitude.
task. Yeah, and like to recover from a loss and to push forward. That aspect can be applied in so many aspects of anyone's life, right?
Hmm.
And we should all take it as a learning experience, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't stand by giving up like in any way. It's one of the main, like the really, really, really main things that I like to kind of enforce in like everything I do, including air quotes League of Legends, right? There is no surrender unless like you truly, truly think it's a waste of time. Like if you're
Yeah.
skipping work or your mom's in the hospital or like you have absolutely better things to do, even though you spent like a lot of time committing to this experience, not even the game, just the experience of like doing well or attempting to do well, scaling yourself on skill towards your peers, like this is when that time is relevant.
Hmm.
And I don't stand by just like wasting it. Like if your record isn't what it's supposed to be, that's fine. Like anyone, everyone wants to be the guy that goes undefeated all the way into the end, right?
Hmm.
But there's only gonna be one guy, probably.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, like likely there's one guy. Even that person doesn't even know he's that guy until it's the end,
Hmm.
right? So like every single match is the chance to do better or do worse, or at least learn something new. Um, some people like Craig like to take on the opponents with like he's either fully composed and no charisma and he's like a super skillful player that doesn't speak, or he's a player that's having fun and like making fun with his opponent about the game that he's playing, and
Hmm.
that really resonates with not just me, a lot of the people in the community. And I think like when we see other players like that can take like round 6 x4 going into round 7, just still playing the game at like table 85, they're there to enjoy their experience, like regardless of what they're doing, right? They're there to test a deck or really figure out if it's their skill or they just had a couple bad rounds. Like it's just one of those things, and you find a lot of like fair weather players, or what I call them now, casual players that like try to invest in the competitive part of the game that just like don't invest more than their time, right? So
Hmm.
like they invest their money, but they won't invest their time into like learning or skillfully playing or practicing to the point where like their talent isn't going to carry them. And yeah, it's hard to feel like you made a good decision by staying when you don't make those decisions like regularly. So, yeah, I completely
Well
agree.
said.
It's
Well
just
said.
it's hard to see sometimes, right? And I'm not like I have friends that listen to this podcast and people that like are in the community. Like I may or may not be talking about you. It's not relevant to you, but if you find that this, like any of the things that we've said so far, do resonate with you and you feel a certain way about it, I would challenge you to change what we think about that, right? Prove to
Mm.
us that we don't think this thing about you instead of being upset about it, because at the end of the day, if you are one of these people, if you do choose to leave a tournament early or, you know, go X1 and decide to drop, that's your decision. And I'm not judging you for what you do, but I am understanding like what you value out of those experiences. And if we don't like bond in that way, that's just how it's got to be. I know that like I treat my time very meticulously. I
Mm-hmm.
like to spend my time on things that I know will work. I'm sure if I dedicated a lot more time to the game, I would be a much more skillful player. So I kind of just sit at like a solid 5 or 6, which is okay. Like I'm okay with that. But at least I play my events out, right?
Yeah.
If you are dedicating more than me at a 5 or 6, and you're like a 9 or an 8 in dedication to the game and consistent play and stuff like that, then you should be dedicating more than that to the experiences of the events, especially if you want to travel or like do any of the other things that all of these people do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I would understand like that's what holds someone back from attending like a major event, right? I call regionals minors because they are. A YCS or anything bigger than that would be a major because it's an event that you're mostly traveling for, and it's got a lot more people than a regional would. Some of them. So if you're thinking about traveling, you have to like put yourself through what is it like a YCS is generally like 13 rounds now, 12, 13 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, like and that's over 2 days, right? So if you go X1 in the first day, that's a real investment if you're gonna leave, like if you're gonna stop playing, right? So if you're gonna stop playing at X1 in a regional, then you have a lot more to do than prove that you're ready. But yeah, I like to stick it out just because like no matter what, like my time is well invested. And you get to hang out with people, dude. You get to hang out with people and meet people all the time. Events, public events, locals or not, like they're always so much more fun than just like the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't like to explore like places, but I do like to spend time with people. And it's the only time that I feel like I get to spend time with people that are involved in like the hobby that I like outside of the game is if we go to events like that. So that's why Nats is really good. Some of the YCSs like Niagara and stuff like that. Those are really fun to travel with and stuff because you get to kind of hang out with your homies that aren't like your normal everyday homies.
I've come to appreciate the travel that comes with the game to the point where like even tonight, like I went XO at locals, whoop de doo. But probably my favorite part of the night was just taking the subway home with the guys and just shooting the shit and like going to visit our friend who works at Smoke's Poutineery and messing with him for a little bit and then getting on the subway coming home. It's a good time.
Oh man, I miss those days so much. I miss them.
Yeah. Siobhan, what meant more to you, or what do you remember better? Your first regional top or your first YCS top?
In all honesty, I value everything equally. A lot of people that starts to top of YCSs, they tend to forget the value of regionals, and they say that like region, you shouldn't worry about regionals. Regionals are nothing, blah blah blah. But I take all my events seriously, and I remember them and cherish them very much.
But they are different. Like you I know for you they are this they could be valued at the same, but like
I know, I know.
a
Like,
regional in like New York is not valued at the same as a regional in Toronto.
oh no, no, of course. In terms of like realism, like in all reality, it's definitely not the same.
Yeah.
Like, one's like immensely like on a different level, right? But
Hmm.
like how I internally value them is different.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of my friends get very frustrated or even confused or even angry why I commit even any shred of time behind a regional. But like, I just wanna like for me, it's like I'm committing my part of my weekend to do this, aka while I could be working, but I'm choosing to do this, so I'm obviously gonna try my best, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I had a particular question that kind of bounces around this whole event multiple thing. Like you've traveled a lot, you've done most of the events in the past like I don't know 2 years. You've changed decks a lot from what I've known you to play, just based on like playtesting and like what you think is good or what you think is valuable at the time. You don't have to tell me
Mm-hmm.
what you're playing right now, um, but I want to know. There are players like me who like to stick not necessarily with comfort, but like like to stick with one deck and commit everything they can to that one deck.
Mm-hmm.
I have found that you do bounce around a lot more than I would expect from a player that like travels and like goes to these majors. Do you find that you switch decks just based on meta solely, or do you like to just try everything?
Um, hmm. That's a tough question. That's actually a very tough question. The reason being is that I actually encourage everybody to play what they're comfortable with. Like that is my biggest advice to people. Because when you go into an event, you don't want to come out of that event thinking, "Oh, I should just play with what I was comfortable with, and if I took a L, then you just wanna if you lose, you wanna feel more at ease, you know. Even if that deck is not tier one meta or whatever, but if you're good with that deck, and if you prepare for it to the best of your capabilities, I think you should definitely go for it. For my case, I have been bouncing around a lot. I want to say, especially after the Megatons hit, um, because the Banlist hit and then the Megatons hit, or maybe it was the other way around. Megatons hit and then the Banlist hit, but
Yeah.
the Megatons were so meta defining that it felt like another ban list, like a ban list within a ban list, and it impacted uh, me, or I can even maybe vouch for a lot of the other combo players so greatly that they were scrambling to like find the next best thing, right? So they were hopping as well, and for me, I jumped decks to find what I was most comfortable with because after my great success with Danger Thunder Dragon, I had to find what I was comfortable with because the Promotins just destroyed that deck and I couldn't play it anymore, and I had to figure out other people were also trying to figure out what was the next best deck. So I did a lot of hopping. When I had to rely on my own skill set to be able to pick up a new deck. Your teammate, Mark, actually helped me to speed up the process of learning a new deck because I don't have the time to fully learn it and find its flaws and the unique techs and everything that I could be implying. And he would help me a lot to speed up the process, so that really helped.
What do you think of the new combo deck that Jesse's playing?
I don't think
Yeah,
it's great.
Siobhan, are you using double prize card like you should be?
No, I don't play that deck. I don't think that deck is.
I'll be honest.
Why?
It's quite
no
disgusting.
no hate towards Jesse. No hate towards Jesse. I love him and everything, but I don't think that deck is that great.
What makes it different from the original one?
The original one, well, right, like
Second's light.
well that. But if you're talking about Nibiru being a factor, then this deck is obviously better. If you're talking about Nibiru not being a factor, the old deck is immensely better.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. But is it strictly because of the Bureau that you don't look at this deck as highly?
No, this deck actually builds a better board if you Nibiru them. Hint, hint. Like it's crazy. The deck is actually really good, but like at the same time, I don't think. I guess it has its flaws, and I'm not really fond of it. I think a great pilot can maneuver that deck well, but like throw it into anybody else's hands, I don't think it's that great. Jesse played it. I think he's been playing it for a while.
I mean, you played it this weekend.
Yeah. Again, like his skill level is in a whole different level. I unfortunately had to face him the last round. Very unfortunately.
Did you actually?
Yeah, he was my last round opponent, and when I saw like we were both X1, It was round 9, and when I saw it, I'm like, he is about to rob me of my region, of this regional top, right? And I was like, great, okay. So we had to sit on a different table because there was no space in table 3. There was just absolutely no space, so we had to sit away from the whole entire crowd.
That's so weird.
How did that
Yeah.
result?
Uh, um, he won
Don't
dice
laugh when you
roll.
say it. Just tell me what happened.
Oh, do you want me to go in detail, like
No, no,
slight
no.
detail?
Just what was the who
Win,
won that
lose, or
match?
draw.
Pardon?
Who won? Who lost? And who drew?
Oh, it was a straight draw. It was a straight draw.
Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
That's fair. What did you guys think of the just like a little off the more serious topic, but it might be even more serious. What did you guys think of the event? Like where it was?
I actually liked it. Believe it or not, a lot of people did not like it, but I actually thought the venue. Okay, like visual wise, the venue looked cleaner, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean it was U of T.
Yeah.
No, but I would half and half, right? Because like this is the first time we're also not sharing space with other people. Not like literally,
Right.
but like this is a dedicated space for us. Like only in the evening were students actually there, but it was U of T Scarborough campus in like a hall. So the only thing it reminded me of was like exam time. So if anyone else was having like trigger warning, that was the that's what it was.
What bothered me was the fact that there wasn't many like you can't really walk down the street and buy a coffee. Like that was the biggest thing that bothered me. Like you can't just go outside and like you know how in the Metro conventions near the Metro convention there was like a Subways or something like that. There was a couple
Well, there was a
stores around.
subway around the corner from that room.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
there was
that's the
actually.
thing with time with time spent there,
Mhm.
you'll start to figure out that actually the opposite of what you're saying, and I didn't want to interrupt you for it, but yes, with Alyssa there, our momager, she like tackled a lot of the there's this nearby and that nearby, and she had a lot of free time to kind of figure that out. If
Mhm.
like maybe a little bit earlier we had shown up for, well, I guess Joe was there before we were, but I showed up there and did a little once around also because I didn't know where it was. So both Alyssa and Craig were convinced that it was in the wrong direction, and we walked that way for like 10 minutes, and then we and
Yes.
then we turned around and just kind of started yelling for Yu-Gi-Oh nerds, and then it kind of like led us to where we were supposed to go. But in that
Nice.
process, we discovered, yeah, like a Subway, a KFC, and like a variety store and shit like that.
Hero
So
Burger.
yeah, so like a campus, it does have a lot of that stuff, but it's all going to be in like one compact place. And once you
Mhm.
find that place, that's where everything is. So,
Nice.
so yeah, we can show you next time. And I'm glad, yeah, like my personal opinion is I was happy to have it. It was though one of the first times I did not explore vendors because there was only one and it was Dolly's.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I don't like I play many sides, many faces, so that's not a negative thing. I did appreciate Will and Dolly's and everything they have to offer, but it's nice to see other vendors only because like a market or like a market would work. This is that one time for everyone to kind of come together from different reaches and different spaces. So to get
Mhm.
different things for different values and like certain places have different stock of different things is kind of nice because
Yeah.
I,
Dolly's
I
or GN might not have the things that I want that like uh, Carta might have that I really like or really need. And this was the one time where I had a lot of time in between rounds or just like the space to explore, and there was nothing to do.
I'm curious about one thing. Did Carta hold up a spot in the Metro Convention Center as a vendor?
I don't know
The
about the
last,
convention center. They certainly were at Niagara, but
the
there was
last,
always multiple vendors in
yeah.
the
So the
originals.
previous regionals were multi-vendored, but it was hosted. It's always hosted by one store.
Mm-hmm.
The news is that 401 tried to apply for the one coming up and didn't get it, so Dolly's got it again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the separate to answer your question, yes, Carta did have a spot, and then I think it wasn't was it Skyfox? It was like another one. that usually took the corner. Gamekeeper? I don't know. It usually
Mm.
bounces between like Gamekeeper and Skyfox, and Carta is the two slots on the side. And then Niagara was hosted by Carta, which was weird.
Oh,
Like the whole Niagara event was Carta run, which
that's
is why they had
interesting.
like a big ass booth and like they had the big dragon on the wall and shit. So it was a specific thing, but I don't know much news beyond like why. I don't know if it was because it was a very Dolly specific thing, like a hookup or something. I think it was. I think it was just like a really good deal on a place, and they just kind of really lucked out on a location. And because they've hosted the last few, Konami was just like, yeah, sure, do whatever you want. So I think it just happened to work out that way.
A lot of people were opposed to this new location. They did not like it. A
Even
lot of
after the
people.
fact?
Pardon?
Even after the fact, like I know people were unhappy about it before the event, but were they still unhappy about it after the event as well?
That I don't know. Maybe I do know. I do know that there could have been even a bigger turnout, but the fact is that we did have the event uh, the day like during Black Friday, right?
Oh
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah,
it
it's
was
Black
American
Friday
Thanksgiving.
weekend.
which was a
It
huge
was,
impact because a lot of people could not take work off, right?
yeah.
Or could not take family off.
Correct.
Also, but with that in mind, it was the largest regional we've had in like a year.
Which
Because
is really crazy because you would think that you think like when I walked into the when I was on my way to the venue, I was thinking, oh, we're probably gonna have like you know 250, like
Yeah, I
definitely
thought
not
like
beyond
250
250.
max.
Yeah, everybody had that number, and then when they announced 352 or 353 or something, and I was like, oh god, we could
Yeah,
have so much more if this was not the Black Friday weekend.
yeah, and that meant
so
like people came. Like this was
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the times like everyone that I thought it would be too far for or they wouldn't make it for, they came. Like it was Toronto Regional is an event that they're not gonna miss, and it didn't seem like it was a big enough deal. We probably had a lot more players too because if you do think about it, when you do have multiple vendors, those people mostly do play. So there's like 10 more, maybe 15 more play people that are based on around that vending that aren't there that are actually playing now.
Mm-hmm.
On top of like, I know that all the people that work at Dolly's, like behind the booth, aren't players. So like, it's just players that are in that event. And I knew Hoover was playing properly this time. I mean, everyone in our team played.
Yeah.
So we had people like Dom was there,
Yeah,
and he's not
there was
even
actually
Canadian.
no, there was a couple of there was a handful of Americans that came. There was our boys from Ottawa and our boys from some people, yeah, our boys from Montreal as well. They also came.
Yeah.
shout outs to
Um,
Yassine, what a guy.
Shout out to Yasin, what a guy.
Dude, you seen
um,
what a guy, dude. Oh man.
I must label him as the nicest man in Canada. Like
Oh
my
yeah.
God.
Second maybe to Xavier, but
No, no,
I
Yassine's a
mean
nice guy.
SS
Yassine at
tier.
one point I thought was facing me, and I thought he was telling me he was facing me, but he was just wishing me good luck on my next match. And I was like, what is wrong with you? I was like, all right, dude, thanks. I'll see you later. And he
Well, I
like
got
he
paired against him round 3, and he just gave me the win. He's like, "Do you have your invite?" I was like, "Nope." He's like, "I already played a friend today. I'm not playing another one. Here's the win."
Oh my goodness.
Like I went
Is that
X3. If you
official?
didn't give me
Is
that
this
win,
official?
you
Can
would
I
have got
do
a
this or
credit. You
not?
would have won.
Do I have to fix this audio or not
What audio?
on that?
What?
Where
You gave me the win. Nothing wrong with that.
what is the all right, okay. As long as it's fine.
Oh no, it was before the round. It wasn't. It checks out with the whole Billy Break situation. No, no, no,
Okay.
we're good.
All right, that's fine. Don't
Yeah,
want to
no,
get
no, we're
anybody
good.
in trouble for no reason.
No.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I overheard that as well. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, no, he's the best.
Yeah.
It was funny after we're sitting with some friends. I was sitting with Milano actually, and he comes over and he goes, "Yo, Milano, this kid waxed me in like 2 seconds." It's like before the like he just drew Gazelle twice. I was like, "Yeah, I beat him before the match slip even came," and he played along with it fully.
Yeah.
Jokes.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Um, how Did you?
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Thing I wanted to say about the regional.
Mhm.
Interesting thing that I learned that I think our viewers would also appreciate.
Mhm.
It was explained to me that apparently if you're a store hosting a regional, you get the profits from it, right? But if your regional has more than 400 people, you are required to buy what's called a regional kit from Konami, which is essentially a case or two of boxes, and you can't use your own store product, sealed product, at the regional.
Yeah.
So, for example, if your tournament has 401 players, you have to buy this regional kit, and you're forced to buy new stock, and you can't sell the stock you already have.
Yeah.
But if your regional has 399 people, you essentially get the same sales, but you're using the stock you already have, so you, in theory, make a lot more money.
Yeah. Do you know why?
Mm.
So that room could have definitely fit more people. I said it at the time. I was like, you could add a table to every single row here, if not two tables to every single row here, and still have plenty of walking space.
Wait,
Oh, that
so
was
Um,
just.
are you insinuating that there's a smaller cap for the Scarborough Regional versus the Metro Convention Center?
I
I
don't think
don't
so.
know exactly how they did it, but I'm almost certain that if you ask Dolly's, would you prefer to have 350 or 450 people at your regional? I think they would say 350.
I mean, from a business standpoint, that does make sense.
Yeah, no matter anyone would. I like you give that to anybody. The idea is that like that's the part we're trying to get to. The idea is that the whole point of them hosting is to make money, right? Like the only
Hmm.
reason why they have to buy the kit isn't to take away from them making money. It's because if you have that many players, you cannot turn away players and put a cap on it. If you run out of product, that's on you, right? So if Dolly's is hosting a tournament, they need to have that amount of product to supply for those players. And the expectancy is that not every store that hosts regionals, because some, even in the United States, host them in their stores. Like they have regionals that are like max 75 players, like whatever the minimum is, and like they're in the store,
Oh, there's
and it's like
100-person ones that are in the store.
yeah. So like the idea behind like getting over that amount, I think, is a little different. I don't think like the way that me and Siobhan are acting about like it not knowing if it was gonna hit that number is I think is exactly where they were because there were still extra tables. That first row of tables was for guest use, which was literally just like play and trade for fun, not including like the Dragon Duel tables and shit. So
True.
I think that like just the addition of the extra tables and like yeah, I've been to better events where I wasn't so cramped. This was that event where I was like, why the hell am I so cramped in this room full of space? And like it's
Yeah.
always everywhere you go, it's always really hard to convince them to just spread the numbers. Like once there's 50 tables not being used, like 50 table numbers not being used, just spread the numbers around. It's not like I remember where table 1 is every time the round comes up. Just move it over a little bit. And that's the one thing that I don't know why anybody doesn't do because it doesn't make any sense. But maybe it complicates it for players and it causes like time extension bullshit. But I don't ever understand why we're always so cramped. But I would honestly expect like January if because the problem with the January one though is like it's also when people are back from school or back to school.
Yes.
So like you have all these kids who are like well, I mean if high school is still on strike in Ontario, that's not really a problem, but like the university students are all going back. Imagine if you were away, right, Joe? Like you wouldn't be here for that Toronto regional.
Correct.
Then you have people that I know that are going on vacation for the holidays. They're going after Christmas because Christmas is a horrible time to travel. Um, they're not even going to be here for the next regional. I already heard from like 4 people that they're not going to be at the next regional because of travel. And I'm like, okay, well, I would expect a smaller turnout for the next one. So this, I think, was just like a weird. Uh, there's like a word, a phrase for it, but like an alignment of stars, basically for this one. And I don't expect
Oh.
another 350 out of this. I expect maybe 3 for the next one.
Oh, I was. Oh, wow. I guess that makes sense.
Also,
What's
wasn't
the
there like a
cutoff for top
Milan
48?
YCS the same weekend?
Um. Oh, for the last one.
Yeah, wasn't the Toronto Regional the
Yeah.
Yeah,
same weekend
Milan
as
was
Yeah,
this
yeah,
Milan?
yeah.
weekend.
But no one
Yeah,
from Canada went. No one from Canada went.
right. But in that aspect, would there have if there was no other YCS? We've had people come even just for regionals because it's a Toronto event, right? Like would people have
Mhm.
come? Like, would more of GN come, American-wise, if it was just like nothing going on, or were they done
I don't
traveling?
think any of GN went to Milan. The only person
Nobody
I
went. Yeah.
know, I know Tommy Williams went to Milan, but other than that, I don't think I know of any Americans that even went to Milan.
I mean, here's the better
Um.
answer for you. We had players that are local that are superstars and even went to Worlds and they didn't go to the regional.
Hmm.
Like, who,
Wait.
Gabe?
Who?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, but Gabe's just like love him, but he's just taking a little break, I think, at the time.
Mhm.
Did he
Right.
even
No,
end
but
up
that's
playing the Pasadena YCS?
no. He was late, I think.
Yeah. I don't think he had the intent to play anyway.
Eh.
Hmm.
He actually just texted me before we started the podcast, made me smile. So if Gabe, you're listening, miss you, buddy.
I mean, I don't know if he is, but if he is, Gabe will take you on at some point if you want. Come tell your story. I'd love to hear all about Peru. You guys can laugh. At least enjoy the joke.
Oh my God.
Uh,
The depth
Oh,
of
I didn't
that
even make
joke.
the connection. I was just smiling with the stories I have with Gabe of the
oh,
travels.
yeah. Oh
Jeez.
man, that's a nut I will crack, my dude. Holy.
Oh, this
Okay.
is actually a good story. One of my favorite memories is Siobhan had to leave. Siobhan, you and Gabe were extraordinarily close when he made the Nationals run. And I
Yeah.
remember you had to leave early for your flight, and he was in what, top 32 when you left?
Mhm.
And I remember long after he had won the Nationals, we were waiting at the Cheesecake Factory for dinner, and you call me, and you're like, "Hey, how did Gabe do?" And you had just gotten off the plane, and you were super groggy. And I remember telling you, "Yo, he just won." And you're like, "Wait, no, shut up! You're screwing with me." And I was like, "No, no, no, Gabe won that." And you didn't believe me, and Dylan had to take the phone and tell you.
Oh my God, that brings memories. Oh my God. Yeah, that's true.
That's
That.
nuts,
Oh
dude.
my God. Yeah. I actually completely forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh, some good memories.
Yeah. Those are good memories. Those are
That
really
whole
good
year I
memories.
skipped like competitive. I played regionals, but I skipped like the whole everything. Because I remember in 2016 I did Chicago, and then like last Nats we did, but I skipped the 2017 one, and that happened to be the one that Gabe won Nats, and I was like, oh, that's cute.
They
Actually,
screwed
all
up
of
Worlds
Goki
hard
format.
that year, though.
He what?
The streamers, and they did it this year as well. The stream was just screwed up. So
Mm,
like, Gabe would play round two, call it at. I think he ended up playing round two at approximately 1 or 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time because it was in Japan that year.
mm,
Um, but it only got aired about 2 hours later because they weren't airing it live. They were airing like the Dragon duels and the Duel Links in between. So Gabe was texting us like, "Oh shit, I just bricked game three and lost round two, and then it'd be the feature match 2 hours later." So all of us, because especially that year, Jesse had gone, Ryan Yu had gone as well. Gabe was there. Like half of our fucking locals was at Worlds.
Mhm.
So a bunch of us actually went to what at the time was Royal Club Games and is now basically Game Nation. Um, we were in the store at like midnight, 1 a.m., waiting for the stream to start and waiting to watch our friends compete on the world stage, and they just didn't air it until 3 hours later, and we all just went home.
damn, dude.
It irked me to the bone.
That's fair. What else do I have for you, Siobhan?
How are we doing on time so far, Dorian?
114. Could go a little longer.
I think you need to get sponsors in here so we can give the people some like solid products. We gotta get like
Speaking of sponsors, speaking of sponsors, there's
oh
someone I
oh
would
you
love.
piqued my interest.
No, I would love to have them sponsor, but and I'll work on it a little harder. But Card Market, you guys know Card Market, right?
Card
European
market.
website. Yeah, Card
Like
Market.
the European version of TCG Player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they posted. Well, Italian YGO posted their link to the OTS 12, like
Okay.
pre-sale on the cards.
Yeah.
And the pre-sale for Judgment, Twins, and Levies are all the same price at €55.
That is. Wait, is that a good thing? Is that what's the exchange rate?
I'm looking this up right now because I'm very tempted to literally just buy a set of twins right now.
I feel you on that one.
It's
Uh,
1.46 to the dollar. So 55 is $80. That's really reasonable.
yeah.
Wait,
Like, what
wait,
are
if
Ulti
that's
Desires at right now?
wait, like it's I think Ulti Desire started off like 110, no?
They did, but what are they now?
Oh,
I'll check. I'll check.
Because this is essentially what their lowest is going to be, right? Because this is the highest supply.
Levy's at its highest. That's disgusting.
What do you mean, the secret?
The ulti. The ulti for Levy
Mm.
right now is at its high. But if you're saying the lowest. Wait, were you talking about pot or were you talking about these?
I'm talking about Pot of Desires. Pot of Desires right now, in theory, should be at its lowest ever.
It's at
Right?
55 USD.
It's at 55 USD, so then
Yeah.
maybe it's not, maybe it's just worth it holding out on the Twins. Because
Uh,
Twin is going to be, in theory, every bit as popular
more
as
so.
Desires was.
More so. Twin
Even
is
if
a
it's
card that
more
people will
so.
play no matter what. Desire still to this day is a card that people just don't understand. And
Yeah, but Desires is
we
just about as stable as sorry, it's just
no,
about as stable as Twin is going to be.
not every deck will play Desires, but every deck will play Twin. Every
I'm
deck
not
will
ever saying
play,
Twin.
especially in link format, when like most decks to be made are back row hate, and control is only back row, not front row. Twin is like the card, aside from like Red Reboot, to handle like any situation, and it's not as big of a neg, right? Like as much as a neg Pot of Desires is, it's a very expensive neg in certain decks that do require it. Like you
Fair.
couldn't play Pot of
But
Desires in that Danger Thunder deck.
put it this way, Twin Twisters is to back row what Pot of Desires is to drawing cards. As close to a staple as you can
Oh yeah, for
possibly get,
sure. But I think they'll
right?
stay up. I think they'll stay like
So
way up
my
there.
point being is if Pot of Desires drop to 55, I find it hard to imagine that Twin Twister stays anything above 70 by the time that this OTS gets phased out.
I think you should consider buying from somewhere that isn't Toronto because there are too many people stealing up ultis and holding them for their fancy collection binders than people who are actually playing them, and our supply forces our demand to be a lot higher. So I don't
I mean,
disagree with
fair.
you. I think on release, at best option anyone has if they want these cards is to buy them on release and not race to pack open. If they race to pack open, just flip them and sell those for more money to buy the cards because
Yes.
it doesn't make sense to it doesn't make sense to wait on these unless you just can't afford it. If you can't afford it, I completely understand. That's me. I'm not buying all three of these ultis as soon as they come out. I'm gonna just have to acquire them slowly. I do want all of them, including levies, because I just sold mine. So
What are the
I'm
secret
hoping.
levies at right now?
30s.
Yeah, so you imagine the ultis have to be more expensive.
I think they are now on release, but they will go down. I don't think they're being played enough, and I mean, these deck profiles drastically change the market. When Jesse says I cut Levy in here for the prize card, and doesn't give you a proper answer as to why, there is a reason that that card is like coming out. And realistically, if it kept its proper play, it would just see ban. It would just go down to limited, and like it wouldn't be worth keeping three.
That's
I think it's a
fair.
great
But,
card. I just don't
but,
think like, especially since it doesn't see play in like most decks, it's just not doing it right now.
but think about Hayate, right? Like the alternative to the Hayate ulti right now is like $20 max.
Hmm.
This is Canadian dollars, right? Um, but the alternative to the ulti is a $1 super. The alternative to the ultimate rare Levianeer is a $30 secret. So the floor for that
It's just
ulti,
mhm.
Keter's Paribus, where like, ignore the fact that a Banlist could come or Levy could get phased out.
So
The floor right now is 30, whereas Hayate's a dollar.
this is also because Hayate came out as a super, right? It wasn't a chase
Yeah,
card. It wasn't a
exactly.
specific card. Like you needed it to be printed as much. Levy is so high that ironically, even after ultiing it, they would they could reprint it in that set that's coming out as that integral set with Phantasme that never got any reprints. Like all the cards that never got
Yeah,
reprinted, they're gonna reprint in that stupid ass set, and like it'll just be cheaper, right? Like it'll come out as a super or something, and like it'll just be nuts. So
correct.
I don't disagree. I just know that like Yeah, you're right. The lowest, the minimum it could probably go down as, it's still going to be more expensive than the secret. But the lower the secret goes, the lower the ulti goes.
Naturally, yeah.
Right? And because they know Judgment and Twin want to get pulled, this is going to be the ulti that gets pulled the most. It'll probably be Levy.
I think I think the pull rates on the ultis are usually pretty similar.
Really?
I don't think they have a tendency to short per anything in
I
OTS
feel like
packs.
there's always one, right? Like Desirous was so fucking hard to come by. And then like people kept getting freaking
Your Mark would say otherwise.
yeah, Mark was just I mean, when you go to stores with OTS and you open them, that's just like how it goes. He's I give him all my OTS just to pull. I have yet to pull an ulti out of any of the OTS that we've ever gotten. So like it just doesn't
Yeah, you got
necessarily
cucked
mean
on
anything.
that. We gave you all
Yeah.
of our OTS. You
I
pulled
think I
nothing. We
opened I
stopped
think
giving
I
you the
opened
OTS. I
65.
pulled ulti swap, and he pulled ulti desires.
I opened 65 OTS and I didn't get a single ulti.
That is crazy.
But the second both Mark and Joe, I say, you know what? You guys open your you guys open your OTS. I won't take them this time. They
Mhm.
both send me photos or let me know that within the ones that they were going to give me, that they physically had on them, they pulled ultis, and I was like, sick,
And
great.
not just
All I
ultis.
need,
It was ulti desires and ulti swap frog. Two of the
yeah.
best ultis you could pull.
I personally just wanted the like to make up the value, right? Even if it was keeping the card, I was okay with doing it. So like I have a load of credit that like is gonna go into getting these OTS, the new ones, and I intend to do that, but I don't intend to overspend. I'm just gonna wait until someone is ready to move it, and I'll flip the credit for it. But I'm not gonna do it. I mean, even so, going to the point of like if they hit it on the list, I know Striker is still a relevant deck, and I know Levianeer is not being played in any relevant decks right now, other than that one particular deck. Um, Kagari alties are still at like 40, 43, 42. Yeah, like they're 35s USD. So like
Nice.
that's a very particular card that even at one is still expensive. I guess if you consider $30 expensive.
I mean, relative to Hayat or the Earth one, yeah.
Yeah. What's the other one called? Kana. Kinda.
Kind of.
The last thing I had on my list actually was there's an update to the tag duels, the rules.
I didn't fully go through it. I'm not sure what it was trying to say. I didn't fully read it.
It was
What's
just
the
niche
point of
things.
updating the tag goals?
Uh,
For dueling book?
no.
Obviously not.
What do you think they're updating the tag duel rules for?
Or is it gonna be some side event? Please goodness, don't tell me there's gonna be a tag duel
Uh,
at YCS.
I don't think it'll be a side event. I think you have a YCS incoming, dude. They're having so much success with these 3v3s.
Yes.
They're having so much success with these 3v3s. It's so much free coverage. It's so much less pricing, and it's so much more like community interaction and like fun. It's like a fake fucking tournament. It's like a fake
Wait,
YCS.
wait. What is this for?
This is just we're looking really far ahead into the future, but I'm suggesting
Oh.
that with these tag duel updates to the format,
Mhm.
that there is a potential tag duel event like YCS incoming in the next year before nationals that would be fire. Like
It can't.
actual,
It won't be in the next year. They'll do it the same way they did the 3v3s and make it a side event first.
I guess, which is
Like,
still sick. Like that's still amazing. It's
yeah,
so
they should
good.
definitely make it a side event.
So some of the rule changes are like simple things like spell speed can be used on certain turns and like you share a graveyard and a field zone but not the field. Stuff like that. It's like really really cool shit.
I think the possibilities for 3v3 is just getting started.
Yeah. Which is also dope.
Mm-hmm.
The 3v3 YCS is such a good idea.
But like those are just simple like you just play and you're friends and you can talk to them. This isn't like your deck is not interacting with the others. The
Correct.
tag duel rules are like you can super poly using targets from your partner's extra deck. Like your extra deck shares, your graveyard shares, your field can share when using linked and tribute, but you can't like use the effect of like gazelle on your opponent on your partner's field to trigger a dump from your deck.
Hold up. Now, crazy question.
Mm-hmm.
Say I'm sitting to your right, and we're partners.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I have a Borlo dragon in my leftmost
No.
main monster
No.
zone.
No.
Do I get it? Do you get an arrow?
Okay, hold on.
No.
Actually, yeah, hold on. I'm
Because think
reading
about
this
it, if I
right
have
now.
Sunlight Wolf in the extra monster zone, my opponent gets an arrow. So if Borlode is in my leftmost zone, does Dorian get an extra zone on his right?
No, your zones are
Mm,
still the same for your opponent. It does. Maybe with these examples, I haven't gotten to it yet because there's like a ton of examples, but it does not say, like, it does detail the zones to be like, like your EMZ is still your EMZ and your opponent's EMZ is the other one still. Um, and it does say that you may possess their monsters to pay costs for activating effects or meet summoning conditions, but it doesn't say something to do with the field, but maybe in the example. Trying to find it. Like this example is really good. If your partner has a dark monster in their graveyard and you have a light monster in their graveyard and you want to summon um a thingy by banishing both, you can banish a light from A and a dark from B and summon it on your field.
If they're teammates, right? If A and B are
Yeah,
teammates,
if
right?
the A and B
Okay.
are their teammates, yeah.
wait, is that the new ruling?
Well, I don't know. Like, it doesn't. None of this is detailing me what's changed. So I've never looked at this before.
Mm.
So if it
I didn't think
sounds
there was
like it's
official tag duel rules
yeah,
before.
apparently there are. It's here. I'll link it in the
Like
thing.
no, I know they are today, but before today, did they
Yeah,
exist?
yeah. Apparently they did.
Okay.
Yeah. So life points are 16,000 still, but both teams can only have one field spell on at a time. This is the complication.
Okay, sure.
So like, I guess you only
Damn, I
that's like
can't make
six.
my Draco monsters gain more attack with two diagrams.
Yeah,
Oh
but
no.
then you get double diagram activations, right? And you have six diagrams then if you're both playing Draco.
No, but I
So
mean,
like,
if both were on the field, you would make the rule such that it was like a regular spell card where you can't use your teammate's spell unless it's a continuous effect.
but
Right?
you
Like,
can.
yeah, I know, but you can. So I mean, I'm fine
Yeah,
with it. I think they're just trying to be cutesy, and I'm fine with the field spell thing. I
yeah,
was just trying to make a joke about how you can't stack um, diagrams now because there can't be two on the same field. Or
Oh,
yeah,
that's
teammates can't
unfortunate.
with both.
That's unfortunate. Imagine popping a diagram with a diagram.
yeah.
That'd be jokes.
Free searching.
That's really
Oh
funny.
man.
Yo, actually, Draco would be busted in that format if
Yeah,
you and
because you
your
tribute
opponent
each
and
other's
your
monsters
teammate
too.
Oh my
can you
god,
tribute each
you
other's
would
monsters?
always
Yeah,
end
you
up
can
drawing
tribute the opponent.
a
You can
card.
tribute your monsters. So I would make a deck that's just like the best True Draco deck you can get, and one True Draco supporting deck, which is just like steal your bitch cards and negates. The one that doesn't play demise with hand traps, and the one that does. So that on one turn, one guy's job is to just counter the other team, and then your job is to just put up a unbreakable negate board that they can't do anything with. Easy.
Hold up. Important question for this degenerate strategy that we're going to
Okay.
take to a YCS in 2 years.
Yes.
Um, Erupt. If I'm playing an extra deck and you're not playing an extra deck, can either of us activate Erupt successfully?
Oh, hold on. Let me see if it's in here. They have a couple examples.
Because you
Uh,
said I would be able to use your extra deck.
I'm reading this now. I think it says no. It says each duelist can summon monsters from their own extra deck only, but it doesn't tell
Oh,
me
it
anything
does?
about
Okay.
cost.
No,
So
because you
like,
said earlier that I could use my Super Poly and use your extra deck targets.
yeah, it doesn't specify this yet. So I'm trying to figure out where this is. This is even weirder. It's like if you set a spell that is a spell speed 1 on your turn and it hasn't been around yet, I can't activate that spell if it's set on your field.
Oh my goodness, this is
So
gonna
like
be so complicated.
if you set Dark Hole, I can't activate Dark Hole even though it hasn't because it hasn't been around yet.
Okay.
Um, but we can both run. Oh yeah, we could both play legal decks as they're legal. So if
Hold
it's
up, but
like
if I set Compulse, could you use Compulse on your turn?
No, because I still have to set it. It's still like
What?
the slowest spell speed ever.
Even if it's a trap card?
Yeah. If I already have it set and you set it, I think it resets my timer. I
Wait,
think
that would
that's what this
suck then,
means.
because then I couldn't use the trap card on my opponent's turn, so that can't make sense.
Well, you can use it on the opponent's turn. You just can't use it on my turn as a partner.
What are the turn orders? Is it A, B? If A and B are partners, is it A, B, C, D, or is it A, C, B, D?
It's like 1A, 2A, 1B, 2B. So it goes like X, cross,
Okay.
and then cross. This one's really fun. Duelist A is set. True Kings return on their side of the field. Their teammate Duelist B may use it to tribute summon Majesty Maiden to their side of the field.
Of course, they actually
Yeah,
use
okay.
Draco in the examples.
Yeah. Duelist 1A has a set monster on her side of the field. Their teammate may tribute that monster to tribute summon Jinzo to their main monster zone. Oh, this is the example for tribute summons. Okay, hold on. Duelist 1A has a face-up Cannon Soldier on their side of the field. Their teammate may not activate the effect of Cannon Soldier on their turn. So it waits a full round to cycle turn
Wait, hold up. I
priority.
didn't get that. The way I understood that was you just couldn't use your opponent's monster effects
Yes.
at all. Let alone, doesn't matter what turn.
Trigger effects, even if it is an effect triggered by the duelist, can only be activated by the duelist who possesses the card.
Correct. It had
Teammates
nothing
may
to do
not
with how
activate.
long it's been on the field, though.
Oh, you're right. So then how does this one make sense? Duelist 1A has a set dark hole on their side of the field. Their teammate may not activate dark hole on their turn. Does it mean the first duelist that you can't activate the dark hole because you set it?
I'm not sure. That's weird. Also, the use of their teammate is a little bit ambiguous there.
Yeah, that's where that's ambiguous. I think that's where my misunderstanding is
Either
coming from.
way, I would imagine that I can't use my teammate's spell and traps on my turn in the same way that I can't normal summon monsters to their field. I can't activate spell and traps on their field. But if I can
Probably not.
tribute someone with their cards, maybe. It's kind of weird. That's a
I
weird
think it's
interaction.
because it's just yeah, it's what is interactive and what is not is the question, right? So like the
Because
field
I'm
zone is one zone. The graveyard is one graveyard even though they're two different graveyards.
See, because I'm comparing this to like what I see the guys do at locals when they play cube, and they don't share graveyards and they don't share
Yeah.
fields. But
Yeah,
like
this is
if I have, for example, trap stun, and you're playing like if I'm playing support and you're playing combo and we're playing cube,
mhm.
um, and you look at our opponents and they have 4 back row, and I look at you and I was like, hey, do you want me to just get rid of those back row for you? And you say yes. In your standby phase, I can activate trap stun and you just move on with your life. But I could not activate dark hole in your standby phase or in your main phase. You know what I mean? And you can't activate my set dark hole.
Oh, so
But you
there
can,
are like small restrictions here and there, right?
Yeah. Like you
yeah,
can
like the
light sworn
interactions.
all the graveyard stuff makes sense. You can JD summon if we control split light sworns in our graveyard.
So, for example, Dark Arm says you have to have 4 different darks, right?
Okay, this is the
If I
exact
have
example.
two, oh really? I'm
Yeah,
so smart.
Duelist 1A has two dark monsters in her graveyard. Their teammate also has two dark monsters in their graveyard. Neither duelist can special summon Dad. As combined, both duelists have more than 3 dark monsters.
Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like your control of your hand and your graveyard exists combined, but your field zones, like your actual like what's on your field, whether it's spell or trap or monster, does not combine. But your
Can I
life
use your
points are
monsters
also
for Link
combined.
Summon?
You can. Duelists may use cards that their teammate possess to pay costs for activating effects or to meet the summoning conditions of Link monsters. Does that mean if you have I can allure with no dark monsters in my deck as long as you have dark monsters?
Wait, see, I don't think that works. I don't think that you can banish from your hand if I activate a lure.
Duelists may use cards that their teammate possesses to pay costs for activating effects or to meet the summoning conditions of monsters. That's literally what
Okay,
Dad
well,
says, right?
that's fine, but a lure is not a cost.
Mm.
Okay, so example
If
would
it, but wait,
be
hold up. Then
will
sign it
you
mining
reveal
I
a
can pitch
danger?
from your hand.
Yeah.
That
Wild.
can't make sense.
Yeah, because you
That means
can
if you
consult
if you
you can consult with hands, and you can only have one field spell, right? So like
so wait,
it
are you saying
must.
if you hard draw sign and mining as your like the only card you discard, you can use it by discarding from your teammate's hand
Yeah,
and
That's the
still.
way I understood that. Yeah.
that's what it says. Read it to you word for
Wow.
word.
Wow.
But
Yo,
those pendulum scales are limited to what you have, like per duelist.
okay,
Mm.
I'm just throwing this out there. You're gonna need a different judge test for this.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. It's pretty simple. They're just gonna say your hand is combined, your fields are not, costs and effects and field spell are mashed together. That's it. That's as simple as it gets.
I mean, very well said, sir.
The difference is like, they no, this is the complication. I revealed Danger Jackalope,
Oh my God. It's just a
right?
10-sided dice roll. How many
Right?
grand?
Right. It must be just my hand, right?
It's
But
gotta
for
be just your
twin,
hand.
but for twin, I can discard from your hand.
That's so dumb.
Teammates may not activate effects, bracket ignition effects, normal spell cards, quick effects, trigger effects, continuous effects, etc. that their teammate possesses unless the effect is able to be utilized by all duelists. What does that mean?
Yeah, okay, that's fine. For example, um, chicken game, right?
Okay, what
It's
does it
an
do?
effect that can be activated by all duelists. So obviously your teammate could use it in the same way your opponents can.
Okay.
But card trader, which for some reason is the only continuous spell I could think of at the exact time, um, only the turn player can use it. I think I could be completely wrong about that, but a card that obviously only you could use, your
Oh,
teammate
example
couldn't
would
if your
be if
opponents
you
could.
have heritage on the field, I can't use your heritage effects to tribute summon. I'd have to use my own heritage effect to tribute summon.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh, this is
That's
cute.
so nutty. It's definitely cute is correct. Cute is the correct word.
Duelist 1A sends their face up Thousand's Eye Restrict and their teammates Fiendish Rhino Warrior to link summon Proxy Dragon. Even
Wow.
though Fiendish Rhino Warrior was sent to the graveyard by Duelist 1A, their teammate may only activate the effect of Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Because it's their card. So you can
Okay.
use it to link, but if it has a grave effect, it triggers for the teammate only.
I guess that makes sense. Like if
Oh, that
foul goes to my graveyard because of your twin twister, I reset the trap.
yeah. Like if I resummon, like if it's double Salmon Great, you don't get the easy. You've linked. How many times you can relink with double salad? Holy!
Honest to God, that might be why
It only
they
needs one
put the
field spell.
restriction on the field spell.
Yeah.
So that you can only relink once, even if there's two field. Like that way you don't have to deal with the double field spell, double relink.
Well, it's the same. It's the same thing with diagram too, right? I hate to bring that example up, but what about multi-roll? Not multi-roll. Area zero and Babel. That'd be nuts. Yeah, they need one field spell. That's broken.
Um, Hold up though. What
Hmm.
about hard once per turns?
I get double Kagari because you can control both.
That
I can link into
That's
a
funny.
Kagari, and then you can link into my Kagari.
is wild.
Oh
It's
no,
like the
I
ban.
can no,
No,
we
you
just
can't
talked
do
about
that.
this. I can't do that. I can
No,
use
but
it to make something, but I can't use your extra deck.
hold up. Actual question.
Mhm.
Okay. Uh, Siobhan and I are partners because I know Siobhan loves to play Salamangreat, especially at the YCS level. Isn't that right? Um, but let's pretend that my hand, it's Siobhan's turn,
Mhm.
and uh, in his standby phase, he activates Twin Twister and sends my Spinny from my hand to my graveyard to destroy two of Dorian's back row, for example, right? And so I attempt to trigger Gazelle from my hand because my Spinny was sent to the graveyard.
Yeah,
right?
yep.
Can you then use Gazelle's effect?
Trigger effects,
Yes.
even if it's an effect triggered by the duelist, can only be activated by the duelist who possess that card.
That's fine, but my point being, Gazelle is a hard once per turn.
Hmm.
So if your
So
Gazelle
the hard
summons,
once per
your
turns.
Gazelle dumps from your deck. Siobhan's does not.
Okay, but because Siobhan and I are teammates,
Hmm.
can Siobhan then activate his own Salamangreat Gazelle?
Yeah, it doesn't limit you based on the activations.
Okay.
Yeah, you could have double rage or double roar set up.
Okay, so we could each activate a Rage, we could each activate a Roar, we could each activate a Gazelle. Gotcha.
Yeah, and the fourth, okay, so turn procedure is what limits it, right? So when you set a trap, you your turn ends, but duelists on the same team sit next to each other. Duelist A seated to the right of Duelist B. Team 1 consists of Duelist 1A, Duelist 1B, Team 2, blah blah blah. The turn order starts with Duelist A and the team that chose to go first, then alternates between teams. Duelist A from each team will be the first duelist to play. The first duelist who can enter the battle phase is the duelist who goes last. So it's
Fair.
Team 2B.
Who starts with 6 cards?
It doesn't say who draws.
Oh, so confusing.
I think they do, but I think
Who's they?
I think
Only
2A.
2E?
I think 2A starts with duelist A will from each team will always be the first duelist to play. So I think 1B and anyone that's B gets to draw, but
So
B doesn't get to battle.
the first player plays, and he starts with 5 cards. His
Yeah.
opponent then starts with 6 cards.
Hmm.
Then the third player goes
Oh
from the
shit, there's like
first
a whole
team.
freaking 4 pages more. Oh, I thought I was done. I have maybe there's actual examples here that I can give you. Hold on. The active duelist can only attack with attack position monsters that they control. Duelists may not attack with their teammates' monsters.
Sure.
If there's a monster in the opponent's side of the field in either duelist's zones, then it must be destroyed before attacking life directly, unless otherwise.
That's good to know.
The first 3 duelists of the duel do not draw and cannot attack. So the last guy to go is the guy that draws and can attack. So everyone up until the fourth player is turn 1.
Okay, that makes sense. But definitely, what a disadvantage it is if you're that first guy, or if you're that second or third guy that has to only draw 5 cards, because you're playing essentially into a board of negates
Oh, you're
with only
thinking you're
five
thinking
cards.
way too hard. No, no, this is how they even it out. During a duelist's turn, either opponent may activate spell speed 2 or higher effects. The teammate may also activate spell speed 2 or higher effects.
I mean, that's fine, but let's say, for example, that we're playing a tag duel, and Siobhan's playing Jesse's Thunder combo deck, and you're playing Salamangreat, right? If Siobhan goes first, he sets up his Thunder board, and you can't stop it. You then have to set up your Salad board, but you're only drawing 5 cards. And then it would be my turn again because I'm Siobhan's teammate, and I would only be starting with 5 cards.
Here's a
So
point.
everything that you tried to do, now granted, you don't have to break the board because you still can't be attacked and you still have somebody else that can go. But
But it's like
things
double the
like
hand traps.
but things that have floodgates, for example, become way better in this format. Right? Like Hope Harbinger, maybe not because there's 2 players that can try to bait out that negate. But something like Colossus that stops both players from searching, especially if one player is playing a card down, becomes way more effective in this format.
Yeah.
This is cute.
Final
This is
countdown counts
very
the
cute.
turns for each
Wait,
individual duelist.
is this like a thing? Like, is this going to happen soon? Or...
I mean, they're updating it and it was a big deal. So like the assumption is that like we're assuming it's coming.
Oh, so is this going to be for Vegas or?
No,
I
I
feel
think
like it's
this
gonna be a
is
side
like
event at some
if
point.
it is yet to be announced until they test it a bunch. I think once they
Uh,
test it a bunch at side events, so you might see it at Vegas where they're like, "Hey, yeah, I know you lost a 3v3, but split up your team, kick off the guy that fucked your whole team up, and go try a 2v2."
oh, I see. I see.
Hey, did Furman lose every round? You can redeem yourself into.
Oh yeah.
Yikes, dude.
uh,
Oh my goodness. So
if a
our
card
theory about twin twisters is correct. You can literally discard
if a card
your opponent's
affects
cards.
this is only if a card affects both players or each player, then the duelist activating the card will choose which duelist is affected. So like Dark World Dealings, you pick which of the opponents does it.
Yo, just take this in. The odds you get Nibiru is doubled.
That's what I said. I said the odds. So
Oh
you're
no,
complaining about the bigger boards. The odds about you getting
no.
Nibiru or Ash is doubled. Can you imagine having to protect yourself from six Ash Blossoms on demise?
Oh
That's
my
Oh
god,
ridiculous.
you can get Ash Blossom twice in a turn.
Yeah.
that is not okay.
Duelist 2A and 2B each control 2 copies of Giant Soldier of Stone.
Yo,
Duelist
Called by the
1A.
Grave just became so good. Oh
No,
my
no, this
god,
is
because
this is
Called
the
guy
card.
gets
This is
not the
the card.
second Ash.
This is the card that's sick. Team 2 controls a combined total of 4 cards. When a member of Team 1 activates, evenly matched. Team 2 must banish until the combined number of cards they control are equal to Team 1.
Oh my god. Wait, what
That's
about
a
Needle Sealing?
that's a 10 card fucking banish.
Hold up. Needle Sealing says you can't control more than 4 monsters.
Yeah,
Full House. You
I
can't
think
control more than five spells and traps.
I don't know. Again, I think if it's both is what this means. If it's both, if a card affects only your opponent's side of the field, graveyard, or banished cards, it affects the entire side or both opponents.
So
If a
what we're
card states,
saying is Needle Sealing and Full House are gonna spike in price.
well, I mean, for this, I don't think so. If a
Yeah, I'm
card
just
states it
messing with you.
affects all
My point being is
monsters,
they work
spells,
in
or
the way I'm thinking
traps,
they work.
I think they do. If a card effect prevents your opponent from performing an action such as summoning, activating, or attacking, it prevents both opponents. If a card prevents you performing an action, it prevents your teammate as well. Yeah.
Wait, hold up. So if I activate an Orcus card from my graveyard, my teammate still can't summon Nibiru?
That sounds about right.
Why can't they summon Nibiru?
Because I'd be locked under Darks.
No, well, okay. So how
Yes.
Nibiru works is that Nibiru would still, if Nibiru's like,
I mean,
wait,
it was still trying to trigger, right?
oh no, that's only in chain links. No, he just wouldn't be able to try and activate Nibiru.
Yeah, you're right.
No, because your turn is separate. It's not your turn. But for the card that affects the game state, it is.
So say, okay, so you can bring up a scenario like you use Orcus card and then somehow your opponent attempts to summon a monster, and then your partner tries to Nibiru in the
Okay,
same chain link, right?
this solves it. This solves it. A duelist may not special summon Cyber Dragon if their teammate controls a monster.
Oh,
So yeah, you're right. If you special summon a Dark Machine, I can't summon Nibiru. If you special summon Pancratops, or if I control a monster, you can't special. If I control the most monsters on my field, you can't special summon Pancratops as my teammate.
Bruh.
Duelist 1A has face-up Domain of the True Monarchs on the field. If both Duelist 1A and Duelist 1B both have no extra deck, and Duelist 1A or Duelist 1B controls a tribute summon monster, Duelist 2A or 2B does not have a tribute summon monster, then neither Duelist 2A or Duelist 2B may special summon monsters from either of their extra decks. So we need to both have no extra deck.
For Erupt to work.
Yeah, Erupt or Domain. If Duelist 1B has a face-up
Fascinating.
village on the field, if either Duelist 1A or 1B control a spellcaster type monster and both the opponents don't, they may not activate spells, but we can.
That's so weird. Okay,
So you
that's
can
fine.
control. You can have village up with a spellcaster on board, and I can activate spells even if I don't have a
Yeah.
spellcaster on board.
Okay.
Holy.
I'll play Tag Ghost. That sounds fun. The format might be noticeably different than the actual meta, but
Sounds like a lot of fun.
it sounds like
That's
fun.
it's so
Yo,
because
the
it's
who's
it's
better
not even that.
matches are
It's
now gonna be 2v2s, and that's gonna be fun.
dude, it's not even that. It sounds like fun because the decks will be built differently. It's like
Yes.
you can do all the searching and I can do all the blowing up, but only based on like if we win the die roll, I'll be second and you'll go first,
Yeah.
right? Oh,
Hmm.
it's so spooky. But that means you just can't evenly. Like you have to tell your partner, like, look, I opened evenly. Don't put anything on the field.
Yeah, but like for example, I could be playing Draco and you could be playing Mech Invoked, and we can just decide that
We're just
if we win the roll, I always go first and you always go second, and your Mech Knights become live super quick.
yeah. Or like you just pick a better OTK deck. You pick any deck that OTKs through.
Well, no, because they wouldn't attack, but just something that gains advantage because your opponent controls cards.
Mm. But if you lose the die roll, you can attack, right? You go second. You go last.
That too.
You just can't OTK because it's 16,000 life.
I mean, you can if you try hard enough.
You could try. Yeah, you could try
Update
hard enough.
transcode doesn't exactly do it, but
Dude, if we play three copies of Cosmic Cyclone, you can get rid of any floodgate you want, dude. 6 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, pay 1,000 life. It's easy.
oh, that's better. Think about it. If you just play the floodgates, the odds that you draw the out to the floodgate is higher,
Yeah,
but the odds they draw multiple floodgates is also higher.
yeah.
No questions. I just wanted to thank you guys for having me on cast.
Oh, dude, thanks. Thanks for
Yeah,
being
this
on the
was fun.
shuffle.
Thank you, sir.
You're a good guest. I'll gladly have you on. This one ran a little longer. We went from being short to being longer, but I think this will be a fun little listen. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be happy to have you on again.
I feel like this podcast also had like it almost had two flavors to it, like a nice interview with a pro player, and then there was also the kind of near the end where it's just a bunch of friends shooting the shit.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll see you guys at the events. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Bye.